The Kareth expanse was a dead region of space, cold, silent, and intentionally empty. For the Galactic Empire's Ninth Armada, it served as the perfect staging ground. Out here, nothing lived long enough to interfere. No trade ships. No smugglers. No accidents. Only drills, discipline, and the crushing weight of Imperial order. Grand Marshal Vorik Draction stood on the command platform of the dreadnought Oblivion's crown, hands folded behind his back, posture carved from iron. Before him, the vast holographic display mapped the expanse in crisp blue grids. Fleet formations ran synchronized patterns like gears in a colossal machine. "Status?" he asked. Captain Yedrick straightened. "All battle groups in position. Weapons calibration complete. No irregular." The captain froze mid-sentence. The hologram flickered. A ripple of static crawled across the expanse. Vorik's eyes narrowed. "What was that?" "Unknown distortion," Yedrick's replied, voice tight. "Origin point, dead center of Sector 17B." Another ripple. Stronger. The grid warped outward as if space itself were breathing. Then the alarms began. Multiple officers scrambled across the bridge. Data streams collided as sensors attempted to interpret the impossible. "Marshal, phase shift anomaly forming. Energy signature exceeds any recorded threshold." Vorik stepped closer to the display. The distortion blossomed into a sphere of bending light, its edges twisting. The hologram struggled to track it. Space was breaking, repaired itself, then tore again. "Open magnification," Vorik ordered. The view snapped in. A single craft materialized at the heart of the distortion, dark, angular, and utterly alien. No transponder. No Imperial design language. No curvature typical of known civilizations. Its hull was sharp and predatory, its surface lined with glowing fractures that pulsed like a heartbeat. A ghost ship, born from a storm. The bridge fell silent. Captain Yedrick swallowed. "Contact is not in any archive." "Size?" Vorik asked. "One-man vessel. Possibly two at most." A ripple of confusion spread among the officers. Armadas didn't panic over lone fighters. Yet here they were, no one breathing. "Surround it," Vorik commanded. "Non-lethal grid. I want that ship captured." The orders rippled through the fleet. Thousands of warships shifted formation, encircling the lone intruder in a vast steel halo. But the unknown craft remained still, drifting as though studying them. Inside the vessel, Commander Rhea Kessler exhaled slowly. Her helmet visor reflected the ghostly glow of the ship's interior. Soft pulses of blue light traced systems coming online. The cockpit was tight, every surface functional, no ornamentation. She rested a gloved hand on the armrest, feeling the faint tremor of the ship's core. "Status, Argus," she murmured. A calm synthetic voice answered. "All systems nominal. Phase reentry stabilized. No immediate threats detected." She glanced through the forward viewport at the countless Imperial ships locking into formation. "Threats detected. Argus," she said dryly. "Let's call that an update. Correction, 93,411 hostile signatures detected." Rhea smirked despite herself. "Now that sounds right." She eased her breathing, steadying the thrum of adrenaline. Years of training had led to this moment, and countless years of silence before it. Humanity's silence. The galaxy believed her species dead. Ash. Myth. Erased. Let them think so. She ran one more systems check. Project Revenant's prototype warframe responded smoothly. No errors. No instability. The ship was ready. "Commander," Argus said, "the fleet is attempting communication. Let's hear them." A harsh, authoritative voice filled the cockpit. "Unidentified vessel. This is Grand Marshal Vorik of the Galactic Empire. You are violating restricted space. Power down immediately or you will be neutralized." Rhea leaned her head back. "Neutralized by what? A parade formation?" Argus replied in its neutral tone. "Your sarcasm is counterproductive. She grinned. Trust me. She opened the channel. Imperial fleet, this is nobody you know. And nobody you're ready for. The calm fell silent for a heartbeat. Then Vorik's voice returned, deeper, colder. Identify your species. Pass. You are surrounded. You will submit. Rhea tilted her head. Let's test that theory. She cut the line. Argus spoke again. Commander, are you initiating combat protocols? Yes. Limited demonstration. No overkill. Define overkill. Anything that ends the test too fast. The AI paused. Noted. Rhea tapped her console. A chilling hum vibrated through the ship as gravitational channels primed. The Revenant's hull darkened, absorbing light until it looked like a void stitched into space. Outside, the Empire tightened its ring. Marshal, Captain Yedrix warned. The craft is increasing energy output. Recommendations? Trap it, Vorik said. Deploy containment arcs. It will not escape. Dozens of cruisers fired synchronized beams, forming an energy cage around the intruder. Inside her cockpit, Rhea whispered, Perfect. She triggered the Revenant's first weapon system. The gravitational slice ignited. A blade of bent space-time flashed outward, silent and invisible, until its effects hit the nearest Imperial formation. 3 cruisers twisted as if wrung by a giant's hand. Metal screamed. Hulls tore open. Fire blossomed into vacuum. The Imperial grid collapsed instantly. Gasps erupted on the dreadnought bridge. Captain Yedrix's voice shook. Marshal, 3 cruisers lost. No debris pattern matches any known weapon. Vorik's expression didn't change, but rage coiled behind his eyes. Reform the ring. Now. Fleet captains barked orders. Ships scrambled. But Rhea was already moving. With a single burst, the Revenant surged forward, slipping between battlecruisers with precise, predatory grace. Not fast, untouchably agile. She weaved through beams, shells, and ion pulses with movements impossible for conventional fighters. Argus calculated trajectory overlays in real time. Commander, enemy forces adapting. Probability of encirclement rising. Let them try. She banked hard, cutting a clean spiral between frigate wings. Another gravitational slice tore open a corvette's midsection. Inside Oblivion's crown, the bridge quaked with each loss. Yedrix whispered, One ship is doing this? Vorik didn't answer right away. He studied the small figure darting through his armada, silent, controlled, lethal. This is not random technology, he said. This craft was built with purpose. Whose? Yedrix asked. Vorik didn't look at him. That is what we must discover. Rhea executed another evasive roll, skimming between missile trails. She could feel the ship responding like an extension of her own instincts. Every movement sharpened. Every breath aligned. Earth lived through her now. But this was only the beginning. This test was merely phase 1. And she needed to survive it. Argus interrupted her focus. Commander, incoming wide-channel broadcast. Rhea sighed. Put the Marshal through. Vorik's voice filled the cockpit again, this time colder. Unknown pilot. You have demonstrated ability. Surrender now, and your life will be preserved. Rhea laughed quietly. That's adorable. She opened the channel. Marshal, you don't know what you're dealing with. Turn your fleet around. You are in no position to. She cut him off. Then watch closely. She accelerated toward the densest part of the formation. The Empire adjusted. Entire clusters of ships moved to intercept, forming a layered barricade of steel. And fire. Argus spoke sharply. Commander, collision probability high. Not if they can't touch me. With a deep exhale, Rhea activated the Revenant's phase maneuver. Space bent around her. The ship flickered, half real, half absent, then shot through the blockade like a bullet through smoke. Missiles phased harmlessly through her. Beams passed through empty air. In the dreadnought's command deck, officers stared in disbelief as the unknown craft rematerialized behind their strongest defense line. The expanse was silent again. Only Vorik's voice broke it. "Capture that ship? At all costs." Rhea steadied her breathing. "Argus, they're getting serious." "Yes. So are you." She smiled faintly. The Revenant glowed with rising power. "Good," she said. "Let's give them something to fear." And with that, the ghost ship dove straight into the heart of the Ninth Armada. The Ninth Armada scrambled to regain control. Warships realigned, engines roared, and orders ricocheted through the fleet like lightning. Yet the unknown craft, Rhea's Revenant, moved between them with unnerving composure, turning the formation into a maze she alone understood. Inside the cockpit, Rhea steadied her hands on the controls. The ship glided smoothly, but the stress of the maneuver radiated through the hull in faint shivers. Argus spoke calmly. "Structural strain within acceptable limits. Though I recommend not making phasing a habit." "No promises," she muttered. Outside her viewport, lines of heavy cruisers shifted into a spearhead formation. A trap, efficient, disciplined, unmistakably imperial. Rhea smirked. "So they're adapting." "Correct. And fast." The cruisers advanced as one unit, pushing her into a narrowing corridor of fire. Plasma beams lanced across the dark, forcing her to bank sharply. "Argus, plot me a slip path through the gap." "Done. But the margin is," the AI calculated, "suboptimal. Story of my life." She fired thrusters. The Revenant shot forward, cutting a razor-thin route between two converging beams. Metal heat shimmered inches from her hull as she slid through the tightening kill zone. The moment she cleared it, she dove under a destroyer's belly, skimming dangerously close to its armored plating. The destroyer chased her trajectory. Missile ports unfolded. Argus warned. 12 warheads locked on. Rhea exhaled. "Then let's not be here." She rolled the Revenant into a vertical spiral. The missiles curved after her, hungry and persistent. She waited, timing every rotation, every pulse of acceleration, until the Revenant shot above the destroyer. Then she cut power for a split second. The missiles had no time to adjust. They slammed into the destroyer from below, erupting into a chain of explosions. The ship buckled and then tore apart in a bright cascade. Argus noted. "Collateral casualties minimized." "I wasn't aiming for minimized. I was aiming for not me." "An efficient approach." Rhea smiled despite the chaos. "Exactly." On the Oblivion's crown, alarms blared again. Captain Yedrix gripped the railing. "Marshal, the destroyer Varen has been lost. The unknown pilot is using our own weapons against us." "Weakness exploited," Vorik murmured. "Expected from an adversary with this level of control." He studied the craft's path. Its movements weren't random. There was intent, precision. Whoever piloted it was no pirate, no mercenary. They flew with purpose. "Marshal," Yedrix said quietly, "the crew is uneasy." Vorik's voice dropped to a thin, cold thread. "Then remind them who commands this armada." He gestured at the tactical officer. "Deploy graviton nets. Force the intruder into containment." The order thundered across the fleet. Dozens of specialized vessels shifted position. Their emitters glowed with blinding blue light, forming a spherical cage around the Revenant. Argus reacted immediately. "Commander, graviton net forming. Estimated entrapment in 12 seconds. Rhea's pulse quickened. The graviton net wasn't a weapon, it was a trap engineered to immobilize ships, tear warp cores out of alignment, and disable engines without destroying the target. If she got caught, escape wouldn't be an option. She tightened her grip. "We're not dying in a cage, Argus." "Agreed." Light flared around her. Graviton beams lanced from multiple angles, converging into a tightening sphere. Rhea assessed the pattern, structured, predictable, but overwhelming. Too many beams to dodge. "Argus, find me a seam." "Calculating." Another beam locked into place. "Faster," she hissed. 2 possible exit vectors, Argus replied. Both high risk. Option 1, maneuver through the incomplete eastern arc. Option 2, punch through the densest section using a phase burst. Rhea frowned. Option 1 sounds safer. It is not. Then why mention it? You asked for a seam? She couldn't help it. She laughed, short and sharp. All right. Give me the phase burst vector. Argus fed coordinates across the HUD. Rhea aligned the ship. The graviton net constricted. 3 seconds to entrapment, Argus warned. Rhea whispered. Not today. She triggered the phase burst. The revenant flickered, dissolved, and shot forward in an instant of broken physics. For the fleet, it was a blink. One moment the unknown craft was inside the net, the next it was outside, tearing across the expanse with a shockwave of shimmering distortion. Behind her, the graviton net collapsed on itself, imploding in a harmless burst. Argus reported. Success. Rhea blew out a breath. We're still alive. Good. Temporarily, Argus added. Additional enemy signatures inbound. She checked the sensors. More ships were converging, faster, sharper, more coordinated. But what froze her momentarily was something else. Argus, zoom on that dreadnought. The AI magnified the image. Oblivion's crown, Emperor class. Massive, black, and bristling with weaponry. A symbol of Imperial supremacy. Rhea's jaw tightened. Of course the Marshal is here. As anticipated, Argus said. He appears determined. Let him be. Inside the dreadnought, Vorik sharpened his gaze. The intruder escaped the graviton net unharmed, Jedrick said, voice strained. Marshal, no one can do that. Vorik responded quietly. Someone just did. His tone shifted, less anger, more calculation. This pilot understands our traps. Our weapons. Our doctrine. He paused. Find me a pattern. The sensor officer hesitated. Marshal. I may have one. Speak. The craft's design. Its energy signature. The maneuver patterns. They resemble ancient Terran schematics. The bridge fell still. Jedrix whispered. But the humans are extinct. Vorik's gaze darkened. So the Empire claimed. Meanwhile, Rhea pushed deeper into the Armada's formation. A swarm of interceptors raced toward her, sleek and needle-like. They moved differently, tighter formation, faster responses. Argus identified them. Black talons detected. Rhea's heartbeat spiked. Lovely. They're pet killers. Recommendation, avoid direct confrontation. That's the plan. But the talons closed in fast. Their movements were surgical, each pilot a veteran. Their first volley hammered the air around her ship, forcing Rhea into immediate evasive rolls. The Revenant twisted like a blade caught in a storm, slipping between converging firing lines. Beams scraped past her hull, close enough to rattle metal. Argus monitored. Sustained combat at this intensity risks structural fatigue. I know. A talon cut across her path, firing rapid bursts. Rhea ducked beneath it, swung up, and sliced a thin gravitational wave across its engines. The fighter erupted into a cloud of fragments. But the remaining talons didn't flinch. They closed ranks, adapting to her tactics. Argus warned. They are coordinating. Strategy adaptation at 90%. Rhea felt a tightness in her chest. The Empire wasn't throwing fodder at her anymore. They had committed specialists. This was no longer a test. This was survival. She made a rapid decision. Argus, we need room. For what maneuver? The one I hoped I wouldn't use today. Argus processed the meaning. The slip phase overload? Risk of hull destabilization is. I know the risk. Rhea lifted her chin, focus narrowing. Prepare the sequence. The talons swarmed in, boxing her in. Argus began the countdown. Slip phase overload in 3, 2. Rhea locked onto the densest cluster of enemy fighters, the path ahead choked with hostile signatures. 1. The Revenant erupted into a burst of warped light, and vanished into the heart of the formation. Behind her, the Ninth Armada braced for impact. Rhea reappeared from the slit phase overload in the middle of the Empire's inner flank. Space around her shimmered, light bending unnaturally. One wrong move now, and she would be shredded before she could react. Argus immediately assessed the situation. Warning, structural integrity at 67%. Talons are converging from all vectors. She didn't flinch. I'm aware. Outside the cockpit, the Black Talons, elite fighter squadrons, formed a deadly cage. Each craft moved in perfect synchronization, cutting off escape routes while firing continuous ion streams. Their formation was tighter than anything she had encountered. She realized something chilling. The Empire wasn't experimenting anymore. They were hunting. Argus, status on Talon capabilities, she demanded. Advanced reflexive targeting. Pilots are genetically augmented. Probability of successful escape without active countermeasures, 32%. She smirked despite the tension. Well, Argus, I like those odds better than nothing. She banked hard. The Revenant twisted through ion streams like a ribbon caught in wind. One Talon tried to flank her from the left. She fired a gravitational pulse, warping space just enough to flip the fighter backward into the debris of a destroyed frigate. Another Talon darted in, fast, relentless. She dodged, weaving between flak bursts, the hull groaning under stress. Commander, Argus said cautiously. Structural fatigue critical at 82%. Hull fractures imminent. Rhea's jaw tightened. Not today! We're not going back broken. Her eyes scanned the tactical display. The Talons were adaptive. Each maneuver she executed only fed their strategy. They anticipated her patterns now. Every escape path was accounted for. She could feel the noose tightening. And then, a cold realization: if I keep running, I'll eventually lead them to Eidolon 7. A shiver of dread ran through her. Human colonies, hidden for decades, waited in silence. They could not risk discovery, not yet. Argus, she said softly, we don't just escape. We make them pay. Understood. Suggesting singularity strike calibration. Her pulse quickened. The singularity lance had never been field-tested. If activated, it could destroy the fleet, possibly the entire armada in the sector. But using it carried immense risk. The Revenant might not survive the backlash. I know, she said. I'll survive it. Or I'll die making sure they never trace us back. She toggled the controls, locking the weapon's energy matrix. It hummed through the hull, a restrained storm waiting to be unleashed. The Talons closed in, their coordination perfect. They surrounded her in a ring of fire. Ion bursts slashed across her hull. The cockpit shuddered violently. Argus, give me an opening. Gap detected, 32 meters between Talon clusters. Risk of hull breach, 74%. Rhea didn't hesitate. She dove through the opening, engines screaming. Talons fired in synchronization. Several skidded past her, grazed by displaced plasma arcs, sparks erupting from their hulls. One Talon pilot, more aggressive than the others, locked a tractor beam on the Revenant. Argus! She yelled. Evasive protocols activated. The AI responded. She twisted the craft violently, phasing partially, and the tractor beam snapped like a thread. The Talons spiraled away, debris scattering in micro-explosions. The remaining Talons reacted instantly, flanking her from every side. Rhea's breathing became rhythmic, steady, calculated. They think they can predict me. A surge of adrenaline and fury coursed through her. The Empire believed humans were extinct. They thought the galaxy was theirs. And here she was, alive, skilled, and lethal beyond their imagination. Time to remind them, she muttered. She activated another gravitational slice, cleaving through a Talon squadron. The fighters were torn apart mid-flight, their remains scattering across the void. The pulse rippled outward, catching nearby frigates in shockwaves. Alarms blared across the armada. Marshal! Captain Yedrick shouted from the bridge of Oblivion's crown. The unknown pilot is wreaking havoc! Entire Talon squadrons destroyed. The crew. Vorik silenced him with a hand. His eyes didn't leave the view of the Revenant on the tactical display. It's human, he muttered, almost to himself. Yedrix froze. But humans are extinct, sir. Extinct? Vorik's voice was ice. No. They adapted. They survived. And now, they're back. Rhea didn't hear him. She was already maneuvering for the next strike. The Black Talons regrouped, slightly disoriented but still lethal. They adjusted to her gravitational attacks, anticipating the next move. She realized then how close she was to the limit. Hull fractures propagated along the stress points. Engines were taxed to maximum. One wrong calculation, one misbeat, and the Revenant would implode. Argus's voice broke through. Hull stress exceeds 90%. Immediate relief required. Rhea exhaled sharply. I don't have time for relief. Her eyes scanned the tactical layout. A single strategy presented itself, the center of the Talon formation. High risk, but the only chance to break the tightening noose. Argus, prep phase slip overload. Commander, estimated survival probability, 27%. Rhea smirked grimly. That's better than a sure death. She focused. Every fiber of her being synced with the Revenant. Engines hummed, hull lights pulsed, and the space around her distorted. She cut through the Talon's central formation like a phantom blade. Explosions cascaded in her wake. Fighters disintegrated. The inner core of the formation was gone. She had created a path, but at a cost. The Revenant groaned violently. Sparks erupted along the frame. Argus reported critical damage to multiple subsystems. She pulled up sharply, banking away from the last pursuing Talon squadron. Status: life support nominal. Hull integrity critical. Energy reserves at 36%. Rhea exhaled slowly. We're alive. Barely. She allowed herself a moment, a fleeting one, to savor the fact that humanity's ghost was still standing. The Empire thought it had exterminated her kind. Thought they'd buried an entire species. Thought the galaxy would never hear from them again. But Rhea Kessler, piloting a ship no one believed existed, was proof humanity remembered. Humanity survived. Humanity fought back. Yet the victory was incomplete. The Talons had adapted. More ships were converging. And the dreadnought, Oblivion's crown, loomed larger, unstoppable and relentless. Argus's calm voice reminded her. Commander, the Marshal has deployed reinforcements. We are approaching a strategic threshold. Rhea tightened her grip. Let him come. Let them all come. She activated the Revenant's stealth thrusters and phased partially again, a ghost in the expanse, striking and retreating in perfect rhythm. The game had changed. The Empire now knew humans were back. And the galaxy would never be the same. But before the next move, Rhea had to survive the Talons. And they were closing in faster than ever. The expanse was alive with fire, light, and fury, and at its center, one ghost ship remembered Earth. The expanse burned with chaos. Light from destroyed cruisers glared against the void as the Revenant weaved through the remnants of the Ninth Armada. Talons regrouped relentlessly, plasma arcs slicing the darkness. The Oblivion's crown loomed like a black monolith, its weapons bristling, engines radiating oppressive power. Inside the cockpit, Rhea Kessler's hands were steady despite the tremors rattling the ship. She scanned the tactical feed, hull integrity critical, energy reserves dwindling, crude systems malfunctioning. Argus's calm voice contrasted with the chaos outside. Commander, Argus said, the enemy is preparing a full-scale concentrated strike. Probability of survival without countermeasure, minimal. Rhea's lips curled in a grim smile. Then it's time we stop running. She activated the final system, the Singularity Lance. The cockpit vibrated as energy began to channel through the Revenant's core. The hum grew into a resonant roar. Light fractured across the hull as the warp conduits aligned. This weapon, never before tested in combat, could rip through entire fleets, or destroy the ship in seconds. Argus, she said quietly, Link the targeting array to the dreadnought. I want one shot, and it has to count. Understood. Warning, recoil may breach structural tolerances. Rhea exhaled. Let's remind them what humans do when cornered. She throttled forward, entering the inner perimeter of the Imperial formation. Talons swarmed with precision, attempting to intercept. She phased partially, slipping through layers of gunfire, each microsecond calibrated. Argus, ready the singularity vector, she ordered. Vector aligned. Calculations confirmed. Energy built to unbearable levels, light bending around the Revenant in violent, unnatural ways. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The singularity lance erupted. A spiral of concentrated gravitational energy shot forward, piercing the heart of the Oblivion's crown. The dreadnought's shields flared, then shattered. Metal twisted, decks imploded, and the ship's own energy reactors detonated in a chain reaction. The core fractured. A massive shockwave rippled outward, tearing through Talons, cruisers, and frigates alike. The Ninth Armada's formation collapsed. Panic rippled across the remaining vessels. Communication lines flooded with chaos as captains realized the impossible. One human vessel had annihilated the Empire's strongest asset in the expanse. Inside the Revenant, the cockpit shook violently. Hull panels cracked. Systems overloaded. Argus spoke urgently. Commander, critical hull breach imminent. Structural failure in 30 seconds. Rhea gritted her teeth. Then we get out. Now. She engaged the emergency warp stabilizers, phasing the Revenant into near invisibility. Plasma arcs scraped past the hull, tearing panels, but she slipped through, every motion a blend of instinct and precision. Behind her, the remnants of the Ninth Armada scattered, retreating in disarray. The once feared fleet, a symbol of Imperial domination, now lay in ruins. On the Oblivion's crown, Grand Marshal Vorik barely survived. His command deck was obliterated, forcing him to flee in an escape pod. Rage and disbelief coursed through him as he watched the Revenant disappear into the void. Humanity! He muttered, voice bitter. They remember. Rhea exhaled as the Revenant stabilized. She surveyed the damage. Hull integrity holding at 50%. Core reactors limping but functional. Systems battered yet alive. Argus's voice, calm but relieved, filled the cockpit. Commander, we are operational, albeit at reduced capacity. The enemy fleet has sustained catastrophic losses. She nodded silently, staring at the dark void outside. Eidolon 7, humanity's hidden refuge, lay ahead. Systems untouched by Imperial eyes, waiting for their return. Rhea keyed the communications array. Argus broadcast. Broadcasting to all frequencies. The AI confirmed. Her voice, calm but resolute, echoed across space. This is Commander Rhea Kessler of the Terran Remnants. You tried to erase us. You failed. Humanity remembers. Humanity survives. And we are back. Across dozens of systems, the transmission reverberated. Hidden colonies trembled with hope. Oppressed species intercepted the signal, feeling the first spark of defiance against Imperial tyranny. Fear and awe rippled across the galaxy. Inside the Revenant, Rhea allowed herself a moment of reflection. The cost had been immense. Her ship barely survived. Her people remained in hiding. Yet the balance had shifted. The Empire, arrogant and omnipotent, had just learned the consequences of underestimating humans. Argus noted. Commander, the Marshal may retaliate. Rhea's expression hardened. Let him. Humanity has survived worse than him. She adjusted course for Eidolon 7. The stars blurred as the ship phased into hyperspace. The ghost ship, once an anomaly, now became a beacon of hope. Every jump, every pulse, every echo of light carried a message: humans endure. Humans fight. Humans remember. In the aftermath, fleets across the expanse were left leaderless, fractured, and terrified. The Empire would recover eventually. Vorik would not forget this day. But the galaxy had already witnessed the impossible. One human, piloting one ghost ship, had shattered an armada and reminded the universe that extinction is never final. And somewhere, in the hidden depths of space, humanity waited. Waiting to rise. Waiting to reclaim its place among the stars. Rhea closed her eyes for a brief second, feeling the weight of survival, loss, and vengeance. Then, with renewed purpose, she whispered to herself, "Let them come. We're ready." The revenant accelerated, a streak of shadow and light, vanishing into the darkness. The expanse fell silent once more, but this silence was no longer fear. It was anticipation. Humanity had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same.